Hi everyone, I'm Laura and welcome to my homestead kitchen. Today we are going to be making some rabbit loaf. So if you've watched my previous video, I made a goose loaf. So this is just going to be a variation of that recipe. So my husband Ed, he went out and he trapped and snared some wild rabbits just on our property here. And so he ended up getting 2 rabbits. So we are going to cook up that meat today and make it into a nice rabbit loaf. And we'll have some mashed potatoes and gravy and a vegetable to go with that for supper. So I'm going to show you how I do that today. So first thing is, this is our rabbit meat. This is 1 rabbit in each of these containers. I just had those in the fridge while I was waiting for the second rabbit to come so we would have enough meat for supper. So we're gonna get these boiling. Well, it's kind of like they're gonna slow cook, except I'm gonna put them on the wood stove. And so it's cloudy today. I can't use a lot of power with a slow cooker, have that running all day here since we're off grid and run off of solar and our batteries. So if you just live in like a normal house, you could just use a slow cooker and have that on high for probably around 6 hours until your meat is nice and tender. But for me, I'm gonna put it in this pot and I'm gonna put it on the wood stove and it's gonna cook for me all day there. So I'm just gonna get kind of like a stock going, like a meat vegetable stock. So I'm just gonna cut up 1 carrot and have that in the bottom of our pot. We're gonna put in an onion. This is just for flavor. We're not actually gonna use these. We'll just give them to the chickens when we take them out of the pot. But it's gonna give our stock a nice flavor and our meat a nice flavor. This is some frozen celery. You can use fresh celery. This I just have frozen from my garden this past year. So I'm just gonna grab a chunk of it. It's kind of all stuck together here. It's kind of more just leaves that I froze and I used the stalks when it was fresh. So I'll throw this back in the freezer and then we'll just put some spices in. So I'll put 1 bay leaf in the pot. I'm gonna put half a teaspoon of rosemary, 1 teaspoon of sage. And I think for this size of pot, I'm gonna use 2 teaspoons of, this is Himalayan salt. Okay, so that's all we're gonna put in for that stuff to flavor our stock. And so I'm just gonna put in the rabbit now and we'll cover it with water, put the lid on and put it on the wood stove. And it's gonna cook for me all day. So here's a rabbit leg. Since it's winter right now, the rabbits had a nice, it was like a gray and white fur. Really nice. They're like a snowshoe hare, I guess you would say. So they change color in the summer and the winter to be more camouflage from predators. Okay, I'll put our second rabbit in. And then I'll show you what it looks like. No, don't touch Kyla. This is like the big, like the rib cage, but there is a lot of meat on that. And there's like this whole part has a lot of meat on it. We farmed rabbits for a while for their meat and it's, it looks like actually chicken meat. The meat is so white. So a wild rabbit actually has quite a bit of a darker meat from the food that they eat, I guess. Okay, so I'll move this over to the sink and get some water in the pot. Okay, so that's what our meat looks like here. Rib cage. Nice leg. A nice red meat from the rabbit. So I'll put some hot water in here. Hi, cutie. No, don't touch. So I just want this meat to be covered in water. Okay, so I'll just give my hands a wash and we can move that pot to the wood stove. Okay, so I'm gonna let that cook on this wood stove. I'll check it this afternoon after lunch and see if it's ready to come off or not. So I'm just gonna make sure the fire is stoked. Maybe I'll put on a piece of wood, make sure it's hot enough. Some really hot coals in there. And just a tip, if you have a wood stove in your house, always just leave a kettle of hot water on here and you can use hot water and have hot water like pre-boiling for anything you need it for. Like if you want to get coffee going faster or need something boiling, or you can just straight up use this for like a hot tea or something like that. It's already hot and ready to go since the wood stove's on all the time. Okay, so we'll see you back at lunchtime and we'll check and see how this is doing. I bet it's gonna smell really good in here. Hi guys, so our rabbit has been on the wood stove here for about 6 hours. So we're gonna take it off now, take the meat off the bones and make our meatloaf. So I'll just show you what it looks like. So here's our wood stove. Doesn't look very appetizing, I guess, but as soon as I take that lid off, I can smell, it smells super good, like a nice vegetable broth. So I'll bring it over to the kitchen and we'll get started on that. So the first thing I'm gonna do, I think, is just take all of these rabbit pieces out of our pot. You know, actually, that smells like chicken soup. It smells really good. Okay, we're gonna take these rabbit pieces out of the pot and get them cooling just on this cutting board so that I can take the meat off without burning my hands.
Mom, make a big plate. Oh, wow, that's the butt.
That's the rib cage. So, front leg.
Back leg.
Back leg. This is from the other rabbit. That's just celery.
Back leg again.
This is the back.
There you go. I'll show you back.
John is my helper today.
There's no way.
John likes to cook, don't you?
And organize.
You like to organize?
There we go.
Your Lego. Oh, that's cool.
No leg.
Okay, we'll just set those aside and I'll just put the rest of the pieces here on the cutting board.
Cut up. Cut them up.
My vegetables are kind of getting my way here, but... Here's one. Does it smell good? No? At least you're honest.
How much eggs in this?
I think that's it. It's just vegetables left. Okay. So we'll let that cool off. And I'm just gonna kind of make, if you guys for like Thanksgiving or Christmas have ever made like stuffing for like dressing your turkey, that's kind of what I'm gonna do. And I'm gonna mix that with the meat from the rabbit to make our meatloaf. So I'm gonna cut up some celery and onions and get them frying in some butter to soften them, and put a bit of bread in there and a bit of the broth too. So let's get our onion. So I'm just gonna start preheating my stainless steel pan on the stove. And I'm gonna chop this onion up. I already had a knife. For what?
For the singlet too.
Are you trying not to sting your eyes?
No.
Aren't you funny?
When you die.
And I'll die. Actually, the onions never sting my eyes because I wear contacts, and for some reason it just like protects my eye, and I can cut like 20 onions and my eyes won't sting. But if I'm wearing my glasses instead of my contacts, I will cry like a baby. Okay, just gonna chop up this onion. And my frozen celery chops. I would probably do like 2 stalks of.
Eat it.
I don't think you want to eat that. 2 stalks of fresh celery. Does it taste good? It's kind of frozen. Here, I'll cut it up. Okay. So I preheated this pan, and I'm gonna put in about 2 tablespoons of this butter. Spread that around. And then just put my vegetables in here. And I just want to soften these vegetables up to give the meatloaf a nice flavor. I'm just gonna get this sourdough bread crusts ready. So I have about 2 pieces of bread here, and I'm just gonna chop it into squares. And so it's kind of like we're making a stuffing. So I'm just gonna wait for those onions to get translucent and softened. I'm just gonna put in a bit more butter because I don't want anything to burn here in the pan. And I have it turned to low as well. So while that onion is cooking, clear off my cutting board here. And I'm gonna cut up the goose. We'll save this broth. We'll put some in the meatloaf, and we will also make a gravy out of it for our mashed potatoes. So all I'm gonna do here with this rabbit meat is just take off the meat from the bones. Just separate it all out. You can see how it is just kind of falling off the bone. It's really quite tender, and it smells really nice from being cooked in this broth all day. Now, wild rabbit is obviously like tougher than something like chicken would be, just because it's a wild meat. It runs around the forest. It doesn't just sit in a cage. So these onions are looking perfect. So I'm just gonna actually shut this off. I'm gonna put my bread in. I'm gonna take my broth here and I'm gonna put in about 2 cups of that and just let the bread kind of soak that in. Because we really don't want to have like a really dry meatloaf. We want it to be moist and good. Okay. So I'll just let this sit until I'm ready with my meat. Yeah, so if you want to see how my husband Eddie snared these rabbits and got them here on the property, we're going to be putting a video up about that on his channel. It's kind of a family channel that we have. Yeah, so it's called Backwoods with the Bishops. They're on YouTube. I'll put a link in the description if you guys want to check that out and see how he caught the rabbits.
Oh, Mom, you want to watch doing Lego Bill?
Yeah, it's not done yet though. There's a lot of meat on this piece of the rabbit. When I was a teenager dating Ed, I remember the first time I seen a dead deer that they had shot, I like freaked out and turned the other way. It was just the deer. It was hanging in the tree before they skinned it. It was gutted, but it wasn't skinned yet. I like freaked out and ran away down the trail the other way. It's just funny to think about because I feel like I've come such a long way. We like cook purely wild meat. We don't really buy meat from the store anymore. And it's been that way for a long time. And we really like Ed hunts geese, deer, partridge. I really like hunting the partridge with him. And we do a lot of bear hunting. I've shot 1 bear myself, but that was quite a few years ago now. It's pretty hard to get out hunting myself because of the kids. But everything has a season, so when I'm able to do that again, I'll be happy to do it. But
my brother found some partridge eggs.
Your brother Dylan found some partridge eggs once? Nice. Baby partridge are so cute. Okay, well, I think that's just about all the meat I'm going to get off of there. I'm going to wash my hands and then I'm going to cut this up. Yeah, that's right, John. So we're just going to chop this meat up into small pieces, kind of like mince it. And I'm just going to put it in with our onions and bread and celery. So I'm not sure exactly how many cups of meat we have here. Maybe like 3 cups or something. Just eyeballing it. Have all of our meat cut up in here. We cracked 2 eggs. John cracked them. 2 eggs into there, and we're just mixing it up. So this is our onions and bread and celery, our meat, 2 eggs, a teaspoon of sage. We'll do half a teaspoon of black pepper and a teaspoon of salt. And we'll just mix that together and get it into our loaf pan. So just make sure that's all stirred up in there. It smells like stuffing. I don't know if you guys have like stuffing or dressing from your like turkey at Thanksgiving or Christmas. That's what it smells like. It smells delicious.
Should we do this into there?
So I'm just gonna stir this up good. Our bread is really softened from the broth that we put in, so I'm just kind of mashing it in and making a nice loaf consistency. Oh yeah, so you think it smells good now, eh? So that eggs and the bread, they're gonna cook in there in the oven. Our meat is already cooked, so we're not too worried about it, but the eggs and the bread are just gonna firm up in the oven there.
You made a mess.
Oh. Okay, we'll get this into our pan.
Oh, that's a big goal.
Yeah. I've been on like a, well, I think I'm always on one health kick or another, but lately I've stopped using all my Teflon non-stick pans. So I'm really just trying to switch completely over to cast iron and stainless steel. So far, it's going pretty good. I think it's just learning the technique of doing it, like preheating your pans, using oil or something. Yeah, so it's a bit of a learning curve, but so far it's going pretty good. So that's what the loaf looks like. And we're gonna put it in the oven. So our meatloaf, rabbit loaf, has been in the oven for an hour. So we're gonna pull it out. It is done cooking. Yeah, it looks awesome. So we'll just set this to the side while our potatoes and carrots cook. And then we'll make some gravy, mash our potatoes, and we'll have supper ready. Okay guys, so our supper is ready. We have our rabbit loaf, mashed potatoes, gravy, and carrots with butter and dill. So we're gonna dish this up for everyone. Hello. And have a nice family supper with everything we made. So here's our rabbit loaf.
Was that me and Mom made?
Yeah, me and you made it, eh? We have our carrots with dill and butter, salt. We have our nice mashed potatoes here. And our gravy. Okay, it's a nice family meal of our rabbit loaf. So if you want to see how my husband Ed trapped and snared these rabbits, you can check out the video I'll put in the description, the link in the description of him doing that. Yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.